Hey, it's Miggy 420. You're joining us for It's 420 Somewhere with Penelope Hamilton and Tom. Let's get into this. Hey, Penelope.
Hey
Tom.
there.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on 420 Somewhere, where we talk to somebody who's in the industry about what they're up to and what they're doing. And joining us is Penelope Hamilton, the Director of Community Engagement for the cannabis community. Thanks for coming on, Penelope.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to see you guys again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had you on a year or so ago. So, what's been going on in New York in that past year or so?
Oh boy, everything. We've finally gotten to the point where they're issuing some licenses. But in New York State, they're called everything right now is called conditional licensing.
Mhm.
It's pretty
Wow.
interesting and it was very slow. And then the governor promised by the new year that we'd have dispensaries open. So there was a rush right at the end to get
Yeah.
one open.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
thought that was a promise thing. It looked like it was some type of campaign thing because, like, it's the Thursday. It's the last Thursday of the year, and one dispensary opens, and I'm like, they could say they lived up to their campaign promise, but that sucks because New York is a state of over 19 million people. Can anybody apply? Is it possible to even apply to get a dispensary in New York?
For right now, what we've got no cap on how many retail dispensaries there can be so far in the whole state,
Wow.
but we are promised that 50% will go to social equity applicants. And then they broke it down even further, saying that this first run, there's 150 conditional adult use, they're called card applicants, have to be justice impacted. So they have to be convicted
Wow.
of a cannabis felony, but it has to be within the state, which leads to some problems that we're having now because of that.
Yeah, I
How,
file lawsuits about that all the time. And so Illinois just recently mooted. And so, like, we have lawsuits that have that cause of action as well in Illinois because of the way they defined it. And now they've gotten social equity 2.0. New York's probably going to get in on it because that'll stop all any of the other lawsuits that are currently out there and they can get to their processing of their actual applications again. They've now redefined the disproportionately impacted area to be census tracts, which could be anywhere in the United States. But
Okay.
then still the same type of thing. The census tracts for like poverty and food stamps, and they had a few other ones. But then you also needed to have that justice involved element now, which has been amended to be an arrest like the one in Illinois, but anywhere. So it's possession of 500 grams or less that's qualifying in Illinois, or a family. Yeah, they do things different. And then the way they do things changes. That's the other thing. Yeah.
In Illinois, did you have with your lawsuits, were they within the state? Because this one is from an outsider from Michigan who's suing New
Uh,
York State because of that dormant commerce
right.
clause that he's stating. So,
are they?
Yes and no. Yes and no. And so the thing is, they would say that you didn't establish that you proved that you're an in-state resident because the state screwed up scoring their application. And so
mm,
it's a belt and suspenders. Yeah, you screwed this up. We should have gotten the points. But let's go into an imaginary world where we can't prove that set of facts. We still win because you're not allowed to have that as a qualifying element because it
yeah.
restricts it. And that for it. And so we're either going to win because the state screwed up, or we're going to win because of the dormant commerce clause. And so I like to, in litigation, you bring as much leverage as you can to the
Yeah.
parties so that you can get the best result you can for your clients.
Is that lawsuit, though? Is it against the state? I thought it was against a county in particular or some sort of zoning, not the whole state. Because is
Against the
it parts
state.
and pause? But how are they
Yeah.
issuing out licenses
Because,
when.
because he only applied in those
Mhm.
jurisdictions.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
So the
5.
places where they, yeah, and so like because of the rules of the card program, you were allowed to pick several areas, and then those areas got stopped, and they're still under an injunction from
Gotcha.
what I've seen. but the other ones haven't. And then they started issuing a couple of licenses, just 36,
Mm-hmm.
and then some aren't open. And then they're like, hey, Chris Webber, where's the $200 million? And he's like, what? And then, so it's a very interesting program. I think it's good. I don't know if it'll be as bad as Illinois, but Illinois and New York are in this pissing match as to who has the most equitable cannabis program in the state. And if you want to win that, like, you have to only allow social equity. And so Illinois doesn't have a 50% goal. I can't get in, Miggy can't get in, nobody can get in unless you're social equity. It's 100% social equity. So that's why they're saying it's the most equitable.
Shoot. It just kills me that there's like this limited in New York. What's the criteria for social equity? Like here in Washington, it's 2 out of 3, and I just think that's insane. Why can't it just be 1?
Oh, you mean on the team?
Yeah, we're social equity just to be like. Have they dealt with their legacy market people there? Like Tom, in your guys' area, the big difference between New York and then Illinois is the brick and mortar, because you guys had a lot of people who like set up shop. They're like, screw it, it's legal here, and the rules weren't made. But Illinois, I don't think anybody set up shop. You guys didn't have.
No, that was illegal as hell. And then not only was that illegal, it would jeopardize your viability for your license. And so the same thing, like with New York, they're sending these warning letters that say, hey, if you guys do eventually want to get one of these licenses, you can't do this because that shows that you're a diversion risk who can't be trusted. And that's diversion risk is one of the things that's always programmed into any particular state's rubric, because they don't want it being sold out the back, with the exception of Oklahoma.
That's their big argument, right? Diversion. You can't let the legal weed leave the state for some reason. It's still bullshit, but with the Penelope, with your guys' cannabis community website, it's not just strictly New York though. You're nationwide, right? You guys, your community?
Yeah, we're nationwide. Actually, we're founded in Illinois, so
that's what I thought too. Yeah.
Yeah, my team is over there.
But you're based out of New York.
I am the out-of-state person. There's a few others on the team as well, but yeah, I brought in New York and I see what we can do. It's just been slow. We all know it's hurry up and wait.
Yeah. And then I've seen their regulations and what they're trying to like hint at what's coming. And you had to be on the right side of the velvet rope. Like you had to have been special in order to get a license. You had to have been a hemp farmer for a couple of years in that state, or you had to be one of these very few, and they only had 900 out of 19 million people. Only 900 of them were able to come to the table and say, I'm eligible for this. And then they've only given out 36 of those licenses, and nobody else gets a chance to play at all, except for the people that already own the MMTCs. I think they call them there too, medical marijuana treatment centers. They might have been called ATCs, alternative treatment centers, like they were in New Jersey, but they're integrated. And so they are huge companies, like what used to be Columbia Care is now Cresco, and then GTI and probably Curaleaf and maybe True Leaf are in there. And so those are the only people that get any business.
They can't in New York. They cannot sell adult use.
They can't sell adult use?
No.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
No. Yeah, I think we're the only state that's done this so far.
Yeah, but then they might, again, they spend on lobbyists and they spend on politicians. So that might explain why we're having no rollout. And so if they continue to slow walk it, then they'll get the thing to be amended so that they can start doing the sales.
I actually have to side with the MSOs on this. I really want to see some more opening. I understand, honestly, but I also come from a patient perspective, and our medical program has not improved any because of they're not allowed to do much. They can't profit well. So it's hard, and the accessibility is really bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they do it like that, except for like political deals and money. I just don't get it. Doesn't seem like the policy goals in some outweigh the money. and like the cash flows and who's going to get that money and that they have a lock on it, then that really sucks. You usually have a much worse system. And so what New Jersey's doing, I've seen New Jersey's like regulators trolling the New York regulators, and I find it hilarious on social media. Are people in New York talking about like how come New Jersey's rolling this out and allowing people to get licensed and allowing them to get open and we're not? Is there any of that kind of conversation going on in New York?
I'm sure there is. I haven't heard too much in my circles or on LinkedIn, people I'm with, but yeah. You're always comparing yourself to somebody.
True. So are you involved in the medical market there?
I am not. No, we're just
Okay.
a community platform to help anybody. Started
Sure.
out medical, but everybody relates as a medical patient because we all use it to feel better.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
100%.
How many medical dispensaries are open to serve the New York population with patients?
Oh gosh, I think we're around what, 9 or 11. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Can't quote. We're not a lot of them. And
Wow.
like I said, they didn't really improve any. So we don't even have like concentrates. We just got flour
Wow.
this
Yeah,
last
that's
year.
right.
So
You guys didn't even allow
yeah.
flour, and then the flour that you have doesn't have to be ground up. It can't be like
That's how they
just
rolled it out.
okay.
They
Mm.
originally, but now we have whole flour, but we have no strain really specific. It's I should say there's no profiles available, no terpenes. It's not
Oh,
broken down. Patients cannot see the um, COAs, nothing. So that's really frustrating.
Is
yeah.
testing required though?
They have to test for their own knowledge and for compliancy with the state, but they
Okay.
won't divulge any of that or terpenes
Wow.
for the patients. And we have a lot of isolate products.
That's terrible because the terpene profiles of the plant can change very dramatically depending on what cultivar we're looking at. And then depending on what your goals are for treating yourself with the medicine, there's reasons to have different terpenes in it. And you don't have, and so your consumer, your patient
Yeah.
consumer, they're flying blind to a certain extent.
Yeah, and if we have a flower, a Pineapple Express, they just tell you, "Go look it up on Leafly." And
Uh-huh.
those of us who have knowledge understand a name is just a name. It's the
Yeah.
genetics that matter, and it's gonna be different in Illinois as it is in New York.
Yeah. And so I don't know if I would trust it. They say it's Pineapple Express. I'm like, okay, where'd you get the genetics from?
That's just crazy. They don't like if you already gone through the process of testing it, transparency is key for patients. That's unfortunate that
It
you guys
is.
yeah.
I'm glad they at least test it so that if it goes through and there's
Yeah.
mold or like
Shit.
there's some type of pesticide, they go, oh, you can't sell this. Okay. And then they send it to extraction.
Yeah.
Well, I think the next question though is like, what are they testing for? Are they even testing for metals and pesticides, or what is the requirement? Do you know for New York testing? Do you know for the medical side?
I don't know, what our rigorous testing is. It supposedly is. They're changing it though for adult use. Looks like they're letting up on some of those mitotoxins because they said
Damn.
people would not appropriately to get anything on the market. So there's a lot of discussion on all sides on
I
what
know, but
what the
they
hell we're
rushed it.
doing.
Yeah, they gave it only to the hemp farmers with very little like heads up going into this crop year so that they all had a kind of race to get these things done. Most of them were growing outdoor, which makes it
Right.
way more difficult to grow like pesticide or mold or any type of contaminant free weed. Um, yep, I
But
don't get it.
even if they release the COA though, people smoke cigarettes. People are going to do stupid shit no matter what. Just giving the consumer the end benefit. That's all it's doing, but that's horrible. Same thing here in Washington. We have two different requirements for testing for medical and recreational, which is dumb. It's a consumable plant. All you gotta do is just require it
You treat it
overall.
like food,
Yes,
you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
yeah. I see those regulations in New Mexico. It's great. And so, like when you're getting your processor license out there, hey, you gonna make edibles? click the yes box, and then they take you to the health agency so that you can actually get compliant for foodstuffs. Like, here, you have to comply with these. And then if you're not going to do the edibles, let's say you're just going to do vapes or something, I think you get to avoid that. Or for hash, for example, not considered a vape. Similar. Good
Still,
times in New Mexico, I tell you.
sounds more open in New Mexico. Yeah, totally.
New Mexico is social equity done right, because you can get, the application is less than 50 pages, less than 30 pages. The application then allows for a vertical integrated micro that has a small $1,000 annual fee, and then if you want like another aspect of the supply chain, then you stack another $500 on it. So you can get 200 plants and a retail space and an extractor for like $1,500 a year, so that you can grow your stuff, and if something messes up, you can extract it. Or plans for extraction are very often a business model. And then you could also have your own shelf space to prevent and this is going to happen in New York, especially, they've had a lot of growers in the 4 or 5 years, the crashing price that happens to the growers. And then they don't have any retail shelf space locked in to help them make a little bit more money. And so then they're trying to sell it for $1 a gram more than they grew it for. Yeah.
Well, that's that molded gold. Eventually, these guys do figure out how to use all their products and make something out of it. It's like a cow or something. They know here's the skin for leather, and here's the meat and all the other stuff. But when it comes to the plant, you can turn into a concentrate when it has all that bad stuff in it. And I've seen that out here. There were signs at one time that said molded gold, like advertising people to have their shit out here. It's crazy.
Yeah, but I always tell people that if you're thinking about getting in, don't forget the extraction license or the processing or the manufacturing, whatever they call it in your jurisdiction, because it's always the most overlooked. Whenever you look at like the number of applications chasing the number of licenses, very often cultivation and retail are about even. And then way down there, like a third of the interest is at the extraction. And then that allows you to save a lot of people's day, especially the growers that are just so gung-ho about growing a plant. If they've screwed up a crop and it's not testing and you can remediate it.
Yeah. Penelope, you guys, wasn't it used to be called the medical cannabis community, the website?
Yeah, it was in the beginning, and then we dropped the medical word especially when Illinois went adult use.
Okay.
And realized that most people identify as medical regardless of a card, and that card doesn't make you any more of a patient. It's just there's a lot of reasons that people are not going to obtain a card. Gun rights, it could be where they're living, family stigma, costs. So there's a lot of different reasons. So more inclusive this way.
Okay. And then okay.
Oh no, go for it, Miggy. I was just going to talk about guns and they're not my favorite subject.
No, I just want to talk more about because you guys started off, and I think it's a great inspiration for other people too, because most people don't realize you can start like a social media Facebook page or whatever, and then it blossoms into something else. One of my what I like to look at. Are you familiar with marketing? There was a guy, his Instagram was Fuck Jerry, and Fuck Jerry was the name of the Instagram page, and it went on to this huge. They become a marketing group that ended up funding the Fire Festival. Right? They're all associated with all that, and it all started from an Instagram page. And you guys, the cannabis community, though, it started as a Facebook group, right?
Yeah, it sure did. Right in Illinois, medical cannabis community. In fact, it's trademarked even. So we still got the group, and we're, God, I don't know, towards 20,000 people there now.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
So, but now we got other states going too.
And do you
I wish it went faster. That's the problem. He wants to get into the mix. The Dakota's up there, all these other states. But Alabama just closed theirs, and Texas is opening right now. And so Texas is opening until the late spring. So if you want to help getting a dispensary license in, give me a call. Hit it, cannabis industry. Those programs have low THC and over the top applications that you need to budget hundreds of thousands of dollars for. because they're usually chasing very few licenses. In the case of Alabama, you were chasing 5 vertically integrated licenses or 4 dispensaries. But if you want a dispensary, you get 3. So it's technically 12. But then if you win that, you can't carry really any products. All your products are going to be low THC. Nothing's smokable. Nothing's even candy. You can have a lozenge. Hey, would you like a cough syrup, a cough drop? It has menthol and 10 milligrams of CBD. Yeah.
Yeah, Texas has a hemp program, not a medical program.
Yeah.
They technically, it's a low THC program, 0.5. But then Georgia, Alabama, Texas, when you look at their medical cannabis programs, they all are low THC. I want to say Georgia and Alabama have 5%. I could be wrong though, but I know Texas is just 0.5. So yes, you're essentially a hemp farmer. And if you get that cannabis license for that dispensary, making a financial model on that is not pretty, because it's like, nobody's gonna be buying this. No, nobody. But you have the first right, and you should therefore be given the opportunity to get the license when they do go legal or allow the sale of cannabis. But then you look at what New York just did, it's nope. So
do you know if Texas is horizontal or vertical? Because I think in Texas, if I was to be involved, I would definitely want to be a store owner and not a grower, because just that 0.5% scares the hell out of me. Like, how a fart can knock it over. You're like, oh, look, I'm 0.6. That's craziness.
Yeah. Right now, dispensaries are open in Texas.
So, Penelope, are you a chef?
I'm not a chef. I just love to cook, and I love to help other people learn.
I see you have a lot of content with making RSOs and gummies and stuff.
Yeah, just from experience, and I couldn't wait to be able to help other people learn. I had to learn. I have my own cannabis journey. That's why I'm involved in it.
Yeah, that's good. And let's talk a little bit about these recipes and the things that are good, because we have a magic butter machine over at the basement farm that we have over here, and 5 plants is all we're allowed. But you do that enough times and you just get jars of weed, and then you have enough medicine, you get bored of it, and you're like, boy, we should really make something. What is a good recipe that you have been working with lately?
The ultimate recipe, of course, is the gummies. I'm just astounded how many people love that recipe that I got out, and it's my own personal one. And then I put out the sour one as well, one with do it with canna-oil, how to make it with the RSO. But it's my first one ever ranking on Google. So I'm pretty proud of that, okay?
Yeah, that's good.
And then, I love to focus on gluten-free and healthier recipes too. And not forgetting side of the plant with hemp and cannabis, same things. It's just that arbitrary number that our federal government set up on that THC level. So trying to remind people to look at hemp too. Look at your hemp seed oil, your hemp protein powders. So I've got a great recipe on there for salads that anybody in the family can love and enjoy, but you got to go in there to understand that why. It's because it's hemp seed oil and hemp seeds.
Do you use gelatin for your gummies?
I do.
Is this the recipe that we need to go over then, this cannabis community, how to make THC gummy bears infused with RSO FECO?
Yeah, that's the one.
Is there a gelatin replacement though?
There is. You can do it. If you are vegan, you can use agar. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that quite correctly. And I'm working on getting that one up and all natural, so you have no artificial flavors. And then the keto sugar, the low sugar one too. Trying to get back today. I've been working on that.
Nice.
Yeah, I learned
the other thing, I just never know how to pronounce this word. I call it lecithin or leviathan. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Lectin? No, it's not lectin.
Lecithin. Soft C.
Yeah.
Yep.
Soft C. Yeah. Glycerin I get, and I've used glycerin before as the material that you can use to dissolve and be the carrier for the cannabinoids. It's, if I'm making sodas or like some type of sweetener for my tea, I would use glycerin in the magic butter machine, and then that extracts it. It's just that it tastes a little different.
Yeah, it's a great company. It's a great machine too, and that's really helpful to everybody. I always teach the old methods too, and how our kitchen chemistry works. They sent us one. They're a wonderful. I've got one myself. I still tend to go towards my crock pot a lot of times, but magical butter machine is a great way for people to start.
They're pretty easy to use, right? Like step-by-step type things. Like I haven't had one. I don't know. I don't cook. I just smoke a lot.
All right. Let's talk a little bit more about the New York stuff. You're in upstate, right? You're not in the city per se. Is there like because I'm downstate in Illinois, and there's a thing that I think about Chicago. I'm like, man, Chicago is corrupt as fuck. Is it similar in New York? Does upstate New York or more or rural New York look at New York City and just be like, those people?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's that ongoing. I always figured that you understood in Illinois, and you just clarified that for me. So yeah, it's totally different. They actually do have a lot of separate laws, and everybody kind of argues over you should be your own state, your own people. New York City, there's a lot left. That's a very small of the entire state. So I'm way over near Buffalo. I'm almost out of New York. So
You're almost saying A.
exactly. Yes. And you will see it. You will hear that over here.
Right on. I used to live in Jersey. I know that a lot of Canadians come down and shop back in the day. That was, oh my God, 30 years ago.
We're so close. Pretty much everybody goes over to Canada as a consumer because you got a lot more choices than New York.
Oh, sure do. But fortunately, Buffalo did just polish off the Dolphins. People are happy over where you're at, though. That's good. You get to root for a football team. What about that? Like, are there Tim Hortons in Buffalo, New York?
Of course.
Is there? Right. Holy shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got Tims everywhere.
I go to Detroit and I see them. I wasn't sure if they were in Buffalo because it's also adjacent to Canada. Miggy, any Tim Hortons in Vancouver?
No. There's Tim Hortons. It'd be like very North Bellingham type. I've never seen one south of Canada. I've only seen them in Vancouver and North. I'm in Seattle area. Yeah, I just thought it was weird that they actually went down to New York. It's amazing.
Oh, it's bad here. We got them on every corner. And it's not the rest of New York. It's just this region where I live near Buffalo. So
they took a little dip in and came back out.
Although we did get one down in the Finger Lakes. I used to live down in the Finger Lakes, and it didn't last. People didn't know what the hell it was.
That's hysterical.
Come out here and you got your chicken wings, your Bills, and your Tim Hortons. Tim's on every corner.
Neat.
Aside from like the 5 feet of snow you guys get every 3 weeks, it sounds nice. Cool. Hey, do they have any, like, how transparent is the OCM being for regulations that are coming down the pipe or what they're working on, when they're going to open up licensing or when they're going to require the people that got the card to become compliant or the hemp farmers that got their conditional license to become compliant? Are they giving any guidance on those types of things?
I think they've been really, really good. We've got open meetings. We've got Zoom. You can go in, you can go to each meeting and sit in your own home. You have to be a licensee to do that either. For the public side, our comment periods are there. They seem to be listening to us. And then they have a lot of sessions right now where they're working with those applicants and those people that have been approved. Of course, they said on paper that we're going to do a whole lot for them, have this whole mentorship program, give them the money, give them the place. And I'm sure a bit what happened with that with DASNY, it's called. So.
Yeah. DASNY? Okay. I wasn't sure if that's what it was, but I've been reading the regulations and I'm looking at what they want for at least the dispensaries. I don't think that they were reporting on regulations for what they wanted from the cultivation, but the OCM was. And I'm like, no, this is a regulated industry. No, they want you to have a lot of security. They want you to make sure that you're building these things right. I'm like, it's going to be $1.5 million to open a dispensary in the state. It's not,
especially in the city. For them, it's going to be even worse.
Yes, and renting $1.5 million in the city, and it's just one of those deals where, but then you want them safe. Biggie's in Washington State, and they have crime. They're pot shops, which
Oh
they
yeah,
call them over
Mhm.
there. They get robbed.
gunpoint,
Yeah.
or they driving cars to damn windows and busting products. It's
Mhm.
ridiculous, and it's all just dumb kids. You don't have jewelry stores getting broke into. They're just breaking into pot shops because it's easy grabs. It's sad.
Yeah, they aren't easy grabs in Illinois, and I don't think they'll be easy grabs in New York because of the type of vaults they're requiring, and that's where they have to have the product. In Washington State and other states, Michigan even, you can have product on the floor. In Illinois, you're not allowed to have product on the floor. You have to have it all in the vault. And so, like, you can't do that smash and grab. The vault's wire meshed.
Mhm.
It'll take you 3 hours to get through that thing. You'll all be arrested before then. And that's for safety, but it's not cheap to build, and that's why
Right.
they cost so much to get open.
Yeah,
Yeah, compliance is not cheap.
No,
that's crazy.
no, not in certain cannabis industries. Cool. Let's take a small break at a 4:20, and then we'll come back, talk a little bit more, and wrap things up. All right.
Okay.
Right on.
Hit a little bumper. Let's see here. There it is. Yep. Oh man, Penelope, how can people get in touch with you and find out what the cannabis community is all about?
It's pretty easy. Just it's thecannabiscommunity.org. And
Cannabiscommunity.org. They got great
yeah.
recipes for gummies
Swag.
and
Yeah,
cool
we got swag
swag.
too.
Do you guys help medical patients get their cards?
Yes, we do. With Compassionate Clinics of America, we've got special deals, we've got discounts for patients, and we can help people in 24 states now. So I am super, super excited.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in and
Yes.
coming on the 420 somewhere. And if you guys are watching at home and also in the cannabis industry and want to talk about what you're doing, hit me up at cannabisindustrylawyer.com, or you can email me at tom@collateralbase. We like to talk to people in the industry just so that we can help it grow in ways that we'd like to see it grow, as opposed to some things that we'd prefer to not see.
We highlight people. We like to. It's like recording history still in the prohibition times. Everybody's making it. It's not all
Right.
hippies and dreadlocks or drum circles. It's
And
people
once
just get
things
involved.
become the way they are, it's very difficult to change them.
Yeah.
And with cannabis, they aren't the way they are. And so we still have an opportunity to make it effective and well regulated. I kind of like what New Jersey's doing. I like how New Mexico's going. I think they're going to have a little bit of, they can have some crime issues because it's very low regulation there. There's a sweet spot out there somewhere. And as more states become legal, there'll be more patients that the cannabis community can help.
Right
Yeah,
on.
just keep working to normalize that plant.
There you
You
go.
know it. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. And if you want to stick around, feel free to watch the video that I will put right down there.